United Nations Arms Trade Treaty to go into effect on December 24. The landmark Arms Trade Treaty, ATT, regulating the international trade in conventional arms from small arms to battle tanks, combat aircraft and warships will enter into force on 24 December 2014. For those unfamiliar with the text of the UN's Arms Trade Treaty, here is a brief sketch of the most noxious provisions. Article 2 of the treaty defines the scope of the treaty's prohibitions. The right to own, buy, sell, trade, or transfer all means of armed resistance, including handguns, is denied to civilians by this section of the Arms Trade Treaty. Article 3 places the ammunition/munitions fired, launched or delivered by the conventional arms covered under Article 2 within the scope of the treaty's prohibitions as well. Article 4 rounds out the regulations, also placing all parts and components of weapons within the scheme. Perhaps the most immediate threat to the rights of gun owners in the Arms Trade Treaty is found in Article 5. Under the title of General Implementation, Article 5 mandates that all countries participating in the treaty shall establish and maintain a national control system, including a national control list. This list should apply the provisions of this treaty to the broadest range of conventional arms. Article 12 adds to the record-keeping requirement, mandating that the list include the quantity, value, model/type, authorized international transfers of conventional arms, as well as the identity of the end users of these items. Finally, the agreement demands that national governments take appropriate measures to enforce the terms of the treaty, including civilian disarmament. If these countries can't get this done on their own, however, Article 16 provides for UN assistance, specifically including help with the enforcement of stockpile management, disarmament, demobilization and reintegration programs. In fact, a voluntary trust fund will be established to assist those countries that need help from UN peacekeepers or other regional forces to disarm their citizens. Arguably, the Arms Trade Treaty would become the law of the United States if the Senate were to ratify the treaty. Arguably, the Arms Trade Treaty would become the law of the United States if the Senate were to ratify the treaty. While that is the process that the Constitution establishes for the implementation of treaties, fundamental principles of construction and constitutional law dictate that no treaty that violates the Constitution can become the supreme law of the land. In the case of the UN's Arms Trade Treaty, there is no doubt that regardless of presidential signatures or congressional consent, this treaty cannot pass constitutional muster and therefore will never be the valid law of the land. Unless, of course, Americans once again acquiesce to President Obama's assumption of illegal authority and relinquish their rights and weapons regardless of the reasons they should not do so. There is a higher authority, however, who never asked his followers to surrender their weapons and leave themselves defenseless in the war against tyranny. While the President declares that greater federal restriction on the right to own, transfer, buy, and sell guns and ammunition is necessary in order to heal our troubled minds, Christians believe that there is only one place to turn for such relief, the great physician. Christians, moreover, believe they not only have the right to keep and bear arms, but have the obligation to do so in the fight to protect freedom. The idea that God has commanded His children to own weapons and to be ready to wield them in defense of liberty might sound odd to many, but the Scriptures provide ample evidence of this divine injunction. In Luke 22:35-36, to cite one example, Jesus commanded His followers to purchase a sword in defiance of Roman law. Within the boundaries of the world under the control of the Roman emperor, to carry such a weapon was a crime punishable by death. Why, then, would Jesus, the Prince of Peace, command His followers to break the law of the world's most powerful empire with legions of armed enforcers around every corner if the benefit of keeping that commandment did not outweigh the potential harm? Furthermore, if Jesus was the pacifist so many modern gun rights deniers portray Him as, why is there not a single syllable in the Scriptures forbidding disciples from keeping and bearing arms? If God is the same yesterday, today, and forever, Why would he instruct early Christians to arm themselves, but insist that modern disciples be left defenseless? And what of Paul's pronouncement that if anyone does not provide for his own, and especially for those of his household, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever? 1 Tim. 5:8.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. You can visit us on www.therealthingmeme.webs.com.